Hi everyone, this is Sean. Welcome back to my channel. Please press the like button, subscribe, share, comment. I am always looking forward to the dialogue. I'm going to go ahead and shut this light off. I have nothing to show you as of right now. I just barely got off of work. It's 3:25 in the morning. For some reason, with all these lights shut off, you know who I feel like? I feel like I am Mike Alvarez. Make sure you guys follow Mike Alvarez. He runs a security company, an awesome security channel. I don't know, well, I know why he's not posting recent videos, because he's busy. But I love it whenever he posts any video, I love it. But we need to see Mike Alvarez again. So the past couple days, I've been thinking about this video that Damien made. And I've been thinking about different possibilities, different solutions to what happened, and possible different outcomes. And it is challenging. If you don't know about the video that he made, let me discuss very briefly. So Damien's working private security. It looks like he's working retail. And he sees this guy walking into the store with a bat in one hand and a gun in the other hand. And it looks like this guy doesn't know that Damien's in the store. And by the way, Damien's working uniform security. He's working armed security. And he's positioned himself, it appears, somewhere behind some pillar. This guy entering the store has no idea that Damien's there. And Damien asked you guys, what would you do? And there's a whole lot of different answers. And I'm still thinking about what I would do. But I did think about some actions and the outcome of those actions. This is a very difficult situation. As a law enforcement officer, I have a lot more resources. I have a lot more backup. I have a lot more training than the average private security officer. But as a private security officer, what are the options? And that's what we need to discuss. I think that the most brilliant strategy that Damien took was to observe and report from a safe distance and not give up his identity. You see, if Damien were to say to this guy, hey, stop, don't move, security, there's a very good chance that this person is going to look at the source of where the voice is coming from. And a security-involved shooting would occur. I mean, it's almost a given. When you call out to somebody that already has a gun in their hand, there's a very good chance that they're going to face you. And it's up to you if you want to stop the threat or give the threat an opportunity. While following this guy throughout the store and not giving up his identity, Damien calls, looked like 911, gave an excellent description, and they end up arresting this guy for an outstanding warrant. I'll tell you this, that I believe that if Damien were to fire, he'd be totally justified. But let's talk about some of the ramifications. So in California, and I think in just about every other state, you can use deadly force to defend yourself. That use of force has to be reasonable. Now, in law enforcement, there's the reasonable officer standard. What would a reasonable officer in a similar circumstance, similar training and experience, what would that officer do? And if the answer is that officer would have given him a command to stop, if he didn't stop, then he would open fire, then that officer would be justified in a court of law. But unfortunately, you are stuck with the reasonable standard. Not reasonable officer standard, but the reasonable standard, which begs the question of, was the use of force that you used, was it reasonable, number one, and then number two, was it necessary? You don't want that standard. You want the law enforcement reasonable officer standard. And that's it. When everything's said and done, Damien found out that the gun that this guy had was an airsoft gun or a BB gun, and you couldn't tell at that point in time. But later on, found out that that's what it was. The bat was real. So if you were to open fire on this guy, would it be necessary, and would it be reasonable? Now, if you're applying a reasonable officer standard, meaning what would a reasonable officer do in that circumstance, then you are easily justified. But you're going to be fighting, you could be fighting for your defense, since it was in fact a fake gun. And it's unfair. It's unfair to you, it's unfair to me, but that's the way it is right now. So what you would also have to articulate, if you have to use deadly force, is the bat situation. I believe that bat was going to be used against me. The guy was closing his distance. He raised the bat, or maybe he started gripping the bat harder and swinging it in my direction. I would have to articulate that I thought it was a real gun. I thought I was going to get shot. I thought other people were going to get shot. And then I also thought that he was about to use the bat. I mean, you got to include the bat too. But there's a lot of backpedaling going on right now. And if you have to think about why you did something, it may not be justified at all. And this is just this is a challenging call. For law enforcement, it's a lot easier because remember, law enforcement gets the reasonable officer standard. Private security are private citizens, and they do not get to use that same standard. It's just the reasonableness standard. And you guys are saying, you might be saying I'm in California. That's true, but the laws of self-defense in California apply to a lot of other states as well. I'm not saying that you wouldn't be justified if you took this guy out. I'm just saying that you are going to have to overcome more of a challenge than a police officer. This is just a tough situation. And also, let's just say this was a real gun. You take this guy out, meaning you open fire on this guy. You give this guy a command. He turns towards you with the gun in your direction or about to swing in your direction. You open fire. You put him down. Let me ask you this. Is your employer going to allow you to work at that same post when you feel better? I just don't think that an employer would put you at the same post, because you also have to have the client agree to you going to that post. And a lot of these security companies, contract security companies, the way that they're set up is that all the money, all the funding for you comes from the post that you're at. There's no relocating to another post because perhaps there's another security officer. And with areas like Portland, Oregon, you'll probably be identified pretty quickly. You have all these anti-police sentiment going out there. You have these people who pay attention to who provides security in certain areas, and they will easily identify you. So 2 weeks later, you show up. Hey, that's that person. That's the same person that murdered this guy or our friend. And then now you have a hit for you. Guys, I don't know if you ever had a hit on you before, but it's unnerving to have a hit for you. It really is. Your gun is most likely going to be taken for an unknown amount of time. Do you have a replacement? You're going to be photographed. They're going to do a GSR kit on you, gunshot residue kit. They are going to take photographs of you of your uniform, your equipment. They're going to take your uniform pants, your uniform shirt. If you had a cell phone with you that could potentially have evidence, they will most likely seize that cell phone pending a search warrant. They can do that. They can absolutely do that in most jurisdictions. Do you have an attorney? I actually did a whole video on this. Most likely your attorney will be the company attorney, assuming the company you work for has commercial liability insurance. Because a criminal investigation or criminal liability can lead to civil liability. An insurance company is going to probably most likely want to represent you on the criminal section, but that's not a guarantee. It's not a guarantee. Are you guys prepared for something like this? Some of you are saying yes. But the question is, have you been down this road before? If you haven't, then it's very easy to say, it ain't nothing. It's nothing. And that might be the truth for some people. But this is a traumatic experience. You know, you pull that trigger, remember, those bullets don't come back. And just imagine that those, you know, you later on you find out that that gun was fake. Then you have everybody, social media, the news saying, oh, security guard kills father of two who only had a BB gun on him or an airsoft pistol. And then they demonize you. I know a security guard in my area who was involved in a shooting, a justified shooting, and they vandalized his car. They found out where he lived and put on his car something to the effect of "die bitch, fuck you," something to that degree. You murderer, you killer. Let that sink in. The security officer has to live with this. Now, I'm not saying that if somebody threatens your life to not use self-defense. I'm absolutely not saying that. I'm just saying that if you're working armed security or security in general and you end up using force that can result in great bodily injury or death, there's ramifications that come with that. There's consequences if you make the wrong mistake. This is a very difficult call for service. Let me know what you guys think about this video. What would you do in that circumstance? I know it's easy to Monday night quarterback. I think Damien did the right thing to observe from a safe distance and not announce himself. And quite honestly, guys and gals, I'm not concerned at all about me and this guy winning in a gunfight. I'm not. I know my limits and I know my training level, and I hope you do too. But I'm concerned about the second guy that you don't see, the guy that is on the other aisle. That's who I'm concerned for. And I might be ready with the guy with the bat and the gun, but I'm not ready for an ambush from the other guy. Okay, just something to think about. Looking forward to the discussion. Take care, guys.